I'm not even part of the broadcast team, but as soon as I walk in, they ask if I can help match the cameras. So no problem, pull out a white card and begin doing custom white balances.
Okay, and then 2. That looks like a match to me. And then do we have the third camera?
The third camera is a Sony FX6, so that will track the fighters as they go from the back room and they make the walk all the way to the cage. Once we get inside the cage, we're going to be cutting between 2 Sony Handycams, exact same model, both have a custom white balance, so that will have no problem matching. But the real reason I'm here is to capture reels. So I'm going to be shooting widescreen 16:9 and doing a center crop in 4K. I always prefer that option in case I need to slide the frame left and right because these fighters move really fast from one side to another. So I always like having that little bit of leeway in post. And of course, my preferred camera bag, I've been searching so long for it, is the Shimoda Doctor bag because I can just pull the camera out almost completely rigged up and throw it on sticks. I don't have to worry about snapping on accessories and building it out. And the most important part is it has wheels.
I used the 24-70 G Master Mark II for all of my cage work up until recently when I got the 16-35 2.8, and I actually like this more. It gets me a little wider when the fighters are pressed up against the cage, but still maintains the 2.8 to blur out the chain link fence. Music is on, so time for earplugs.
I broke my own rule and I didn't format the cards and put in the right codec the night before, so getting through that as fast as possible now, but this is the little bit of room that I have on the side of the cage, and now that my camera is longer, it provides another problem. So I had an arm sticking out of the tripod, but it was catching people's shirts as they walked by, so I just removed it and got rid of that issue.
20 minutes till showtime and they got a long line out of the door, but I have a very special hard drive I need to give to the producer. It has all of the scenes from the docu-series. I filmed it in the last vlog, and he's going to take this hard drive. They're going to add it to the last few interviews they're conducting this week, and then they will start pitching to different platforms. So I can't wait to see how the show actually turns out.
When I started filming these last year, I remember being so nervous about, am I in the wrong place? Am I blocking somebody's view? Should I not be here? But now that I've done 15 or so of these, I'm so much more familiar and confident in where I can go, what are the limits, and that really helps me focus on the action. But it's a double-edged sword because it can lead to complacency and not having you be on your toes like you're supposed to be and being aware of everything that's going on. But I saw a guy on the far side of the frame. You'll see he's got a crazy camera rig. He's got his camera with a big matte box, a super long shotgun, on a Ronin, on a long base plate with side handles and a monitor out the back. I've never seen a rig like that. I don't know who his client was or what project he's filming for, but that looks very interesting. I'd like to see how it comes out. I love throwing my random ideas onto the community tab because I can get instant feedback from you guys. So for this one, it was a real inquiry where I had a client saying, would you do 14 hours of work for $1,600? And the comments were very controversial. Some people were saying, if you can't accept that rate, you're living above your means. Other people were saying, you're undervaluing yourself. A 14-hour day requires a lot more overtime. That would be closer to $2,400 in my market. So I highly recommend you guys checking that out because it is very insightful for different markets. But I am filling up media fast. I have 4 128 gigabyte cards and they're going by pretty quickly. I wanted to try something different for my monitor. So normally I have it pointed up front, but because the railing behind me was getting pushed in by the crowd, I couldn't sit behind the camera. I kind of had to be to the side. I positioned it this way, which was a little bit better, and I can still articulate it, but once I got into the cage, I was like, oh, that doesn't work. I need to throw it back up front. Whether I'm in manual focus or autofocus, I've never seen this system before, only on the FX6. So you see that bar at the top? That's essentially a depth of field gauge, and that white sliding line will widen or shorten depending on what your focal length and your aperture is. I've never seen this before. It is so helpful. Whether I'm switching from manual focus to autofocus, I'm always giving a quick glance at that to see what do I have in focus, and I don't need to divert my eyes to the lens barrel to look at focus markings there. Now, I think my night is coming to a nice, calm close, and then I get a text from the producer of the docuseries, who I was only supposed to hand over a hard drive, and he says, after the last fight, we are doing a quick OTF interview. The problem is I ran through all of my media. So I run to my car, get my laptop, and start to dump one of my smaller 64 gigabyte cards. Now, because I have a old, slow computer, it's gonna take 20 minutes, which is extremely long. So in the meantime, the producer is talking to the interviewee and basically trying to kill time while we get everything set up. So we have a boom getting patched directly into the FX6. I love that it has phantom power. And then I'm switching the settings from the reels that I was shooting tonight into the docuseries project settings. So this is not the time to be figuring out your camera. It only helps to be familiar and efficient with your camera. So I am doing that as fast as possible. I am definitely feeling pressured, but this is the time when you have to be able to pivot, and not only pivot, but pivot accurately. So now that the lighting has changed, I need to get a custom white balance. So I steal the card that the ring girls use when they say round 1, round 2, and that's gonna be my custom white balance. And then you can see the producer is looking at me in the gray shirt. He's like, can we get this going? And I am just trying to get it as fast as possible.
That was a whirlwind, just taking the card out, transferring it to my computer, throwing it back in, formatting it, getting the OTF, then filming the scene of the promoter watching Val, and then transferring that onto the hard drive, giving it to the producer. Woo! You know, I thought I was just coming in for a night of fights, but apparently there was some, you know, documentary work is really cool like that. Stuff just happens and you have to adapt and capture it. So again, I'm glad they trust me. SD cards are low, gas is low. I am disappointed in myself. And this is the Hard Rock Stadium. That is where I filmed Rolling Loud last year. You can see that whole thing in this vlog. That was really, really fun. These are the digs for tonight. Just a place to stay. And dinner from Popeyes. Next morning, I get a random invite saying I'd love to buy you a cup of coffee if we can meet up. Normally, I cannot accommodate for these, but in this case, I did have time. So it was nice just getting to talk with someone else, another David in videography who is trying to navigate the freelance world, bouncing ideas off each other. And I just am getting this more and more and more. I think I'll do a South Florida, Miami meetup, because there is a lot of people who keep asking for me to hold one. So I would love to meet some people. I'm going to put some outreach just into the community. If you guys have spaces that you think would work where we could talk, not have to pay to hold an event, and be able to hear each other. That's the most important thing. Well, that was fun. Time to go shred. Much needed skate sesh. Now I need to go grab my hard drive from the producer, and they are wrapping up some interviews right now, so it's gonna be cool to see their dual red setup, how they're lighting it, audio. They got a sound guy, so I always love walking into these situations and kind of just observing. Out of respect for the production, I didn't want to come in and blow up their spot, start vlogging everything, so I didn't get to film the interview, but I was talking to the sound guy who showed me his really cool DIY setup.
Top slides.
This one is, what is that, like a hint? Wow.
Yeah, there's a pneumatic lift there. And then I just gotta plug it in, and then I'm good to charge.
And this is for, what do most of these batteries go to? What devices?
So the AA's are in the slate, they're in transmitters, there's some SM batteries for some transmitters, there's the eSmart batteries for the recorders and the boom op rigs. There's 9-volt batteries that go into Comtex. And that's pretty much it for me.
That's nice.
And smoke alarm, because you never know where you're at.
Yeah. I was talking with an editor and I said, so you're always dealing with people's problems in the footage that they give you. Do you ever say, oh, we should work with that guy again? And he said the opposite. He said, no, whenever I get horrible footage, I told the producer, don't hire that guy again. So something good just to keep in mind. And also, I got this toiletry bag from money that I got from the Amazon links from you guys using the affiliate code. So appreciate that. This Thursday at 6 p.m., I'll be doing my first YouTube Live on RV Life with Adrian and Ruth's YouTube channel. So that'll be fun just to discuss freelance filmmaking in a more in-depth, unfiltered type of way. And I'll be patching my FX6 in, so I'm going to see how does that work, what does it look like too. DP work is done. I can just sit at home and do nothing. I much rather prefer this workflow, but I don't want to run into that situation again. So has anybody used these new Angelbird cards? The price per gigabyte is much better than a SD, and it's high capacity. So I'll probably be picking these up next, but does anybody have any experience?